I know that these students all want to know what they can do now to help them in a career in public relations. Do you have any words of advice for them in terms of what they might do?
Like internships?
That's
Is that
one.
what you're talking about?
Sure.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's probably the most important practical thing you can do, is to take the sum of what you have studied in classrooms like this and to put it to work on a trial basis in internships. And internships can be, you know, for nonprofit or for-profit organizations. Wherever you can find a way to get an internship, that's probably the most important thing you can do for yourself. It's the most important thing outside of your graduation from a fine university and college of renown and respect. The next best thing that a prospective employer will look for on your resume is where did you intern and for whom. And if you can get a letter from the person who supervised that internship that said you did a great job, and let me tell you how he or she did a great job, best recommendation you can have to get an entry-level position. So I'm all for internships. And I think one of the things I think you ought to do with internships is take it wherever you can find it, of course. If you can find it in Tuscaloosa, wonderful. If you can find it in Birmingham, wonderful. But remember that the whole world is out there for you to look for an internship. I mean, come look for it in my town, in Chicago, which is a very active town as far as public relations is concerned. Same thing's true of New York, of course. The same thing's true of the West Coast. But you know, there are internships far beyond the state of Alabama that you can look for, and not only in the periphery in Georgia and Atlanta and in Tennessee and in Texas, but you know, expand your horizons far beyond the geography of where you live or where you study. And because the name of the game, all your career life, and starting right now, is connections. The people you know, the contacts you make, and if I have a major criticism of students who were the love of my life, public relations students, the love of my life, is that you don't reach out to make as many connections as you should. And I'm really talking about the connections that start with, today you are going to hear from some wonderful people who were highly successful in the field of public relations. And they come from, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama. I would suggest, if you are so moved, and if any one of them or all of them impress you with the wisdom that they impart today to you, that you check with one of your faculty members and you say, where can I write to them and let them know how much I appreciated what they said or the wisdom that they imparted on this public relations day. If you write a thank you note, and I'm not talking about email, although something is better than nothing. I'm talking about a real honest to God note, maybe even in your own handwriting if it's legible, or if not, off the computer, saying how much you appreciated hearing from them and getting their viewpoint about the agency world or the corporate world or whatever is germane to what they're going to say this afternoon or this morning. And I say that you've made a connection with that person. Aside from expressing some appreciation for the time and effort that they put in coming here to talk with you. So perhaps along the way, if you end up in Atlanta, where one of them comes from, and you want some time to go visit him or her in his or her office and say, can you tell me something about the Atlanta market? Where should I be looking for internships? What do you think the best opportunities are in this particular area for a career? You have a connection. You have somebody with whom you can talk and exchange ideas and possibly get some clues about the next connection that you're going to make. If you come to Chicago, you know, I'm your Patsy. I'm in love with anybody that comes from the University of Alabama, and particularly this college. So while I'm not, you know, I'm long retired, I still know some people in Chicago, and I can still make some suggestions about where you might go or whom you might see for an internship or an entry-level position. So it's those kinds of connections. That's one of the great opportunities that you have when you join a group like the PRSA, because while its chapter is in this college, its connections are with 240 other chapters, and not only in PRSA, but in the Public Relations Society of America. So that if you write to somebody who's a Public Relations Society of America member and say, I was a PRSA member at the University of Alabama, and I am interested in learning more about what jobs there are or what the job market is like in San Diego, to pull something out of the hat, or if not Atlanta or Dallas or wherever. 9 times out of 10, they'll respond. Sometimes their response will be no, I can't do it, I'm off to Timbuktu next month or something like that. But if 1 out of 10 gives a student an opportunity to talk with them by phone or by email or person to person, then you've made another connection. And that happens all along. You're never too old for connections. That's why you join organizations. That's why you volunteer within organizations. One of the things that's so wonderful about joining an organization is that an organization will have geniuses in it, people who have made tremendous contributions to the field and have made a lot of money and a lot of reputation doing it. It also has young people who are just beginning their careers. You can work on the same committee together and get to know one another, so that when one of my bosses, for example, along the way was a man named Dan Edelman, who has the largest international independent public relations organization in the world today. He and I got to know one another because we worked on the same committee in PRSA when I hardly knew how to spell Edelman. And he got to respect me for my work in PRSA, and I got to know him because of our work on a committee together. And one day he asked me to join his firm, and I was there for 13 years and became his EVP. And the only reason that happened is because we were in the same organization and connected with one another. And that's one of the reasons, not all of them, but one of the reasons why you are active in these kinds of professional and paraprofessional organizations so that you can make those kinds of connections. And let me turn it around. When you are the president of your company or your agency, and when you are making millions or whatever you aspire to make, I hope you remember to mentor the young people who are coming into the field as well, because we all owe that mentoring responsibilities to those who come after us.